Sandra all the time is here with a cold heart true. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama to call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra. And they start robbing, they calling Sandra. And if the rooster fly in the kitchen, they calling Sandra. And when they want to get the money, they calling Sandra.
All right, good morning, everybody. Who's calling me this morning? Well, you say the rooster flew in the kitchen? Oh my gosh. Not the rooster. Uh-oh. What a hot mess, honey child. I tell you what, those roosters, they don't look like they were bothered by the storm one bit. Good morning to everyone. Our first post-Beryl storm show. Everything is looking good. I did not venture out yesterday. I decided to stay home. Took instructions from the authorities who said, if you don't have a reason to be on the road, please stay home. Stay in place. Why go out there? Despite that, I got lots of footage. Thank you guys so much. You sent me everything that was going on. I didn't feel like I needed to go anywhere because, as usual, I knew exactly what was going on in the community. Hey, good morning, beautiful people. I see you. Rise and shine. It's time to get up. All right. Let me see here now. I see y'all slow to move this morning. That's okay. I'm going to send out some links and get you guys going. So everything pretty much is reopening today. One road, South Sound and Crew Road. I guess that's at the junction of coming off of the Hurley's roundabout, because that's still considered Crew Road up until that point. I'm trying to remember exactly where Shamrock starts. Does anybody know exactly where Shamrock starts? Anyway. Okay. Let me see here. Yes. All right. So all right, folks. Good. Good stuff. All right. Just sending out all the links. So yes, I don't even know where Shamrock starts, but it starts somewhere after, I think, Grand Harbor, I believe. Okay. So the roosters are good. On my morning walk, I did notice that the bird nests, I felt so bad for them because the poor bird nests are everywhere on the ground. So lots of them got knocked out. Yeah, poor things. Lots of bird nests up this way on the ground. So hopefully they can just, birds are actually a lot smarter than we give them credit for. So hopefully they can just grab the bird nest and stick it back in the tree. Takes them a while to build it though, but yeah, poor things. I was kind of hoping that we might have done a better job of getting rid of some chickens, but that didn't happen. Natural selection. Apparently they are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. Good morning. Let me see which usual suspects are here today. So good to see you guys. Diamond Princess in the house. Good morning, darling. She says she's thankful for today. Siobhan is here. Good morning, good morning, good morning. CC McLaughlin. Hello, madam. Luis, buenos dias. Says good morning, K-Man. Bless. Boy, we're all, like I said, this morning, it's like a collective sigh of relief. We're all like, whew. And guess what? The next one coming right off the coast. OMG. I did say that the expert said this is going to be a season to watch. predictions all over the place that we will have multiple, 3+ hurricanes, category 3+. So, wow, that was a practice run. I feel like a lot of us recognized, hopefully, the things that we need to do. Let's talk about some of it this morning for sure. The things that we shouldn't be doing. And yeah, lessons to learn. Every experience like this, you should literally walk away with some lessons learned. This is an opportunity for us to say, right, this is what I need to improve upon. Don't allow this to just be business as usual. Kimmy, good morning. Good morning to Miss Ann. How are you? Kimmy says, I'm so glad that Cayman Islands is safe. Evelyn is here. Thank you very much. Everton, Shaka Zulu, good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. Yes, today is Friday, right? Yeah. Friday. Happy Friday. Romeo, morning. Damaris in the house. Yes, we are very, very blessed. Somebody says, why is it that we always have let me see here now. Why is it that we always have people saying, oh, prayers for this one and prayers for that one, but we never see them praying for Cayman? I was like, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe they don't say it as much because they don't think that we need it as much, because let's be very, very honest. We are in a very, very enviable position. Even when we don't get it right, 100% right, we still probably at least 50-50, 60. We're not doing the worst. There's always room for improvement for sure. All right. Catherine, so she's watching this morning. Good morning to Annie. First Lady Jayanne says good morning to all. Have a safe day. Olivia, Carnival Rumble. Yes, we're going to get to that hot mess of a situation. Women fighting over men, I'm told, or a man. Probably not even a real man. Dee Dee, good morning to you. Richard, how you doing? How's the weather in Texas? Is it coming for Texas? I haven't looked at the weather this morning, but wowee. Miss Nikki joining us from Vero Beach, Florida. Good morning. Marshall, North Carolina. Wee wee, good to see you. People be prepared in advance and stop doing BS, says KK. Let's talk about that because I think that that's worth a mention. Okay, I need to hear from you guys. How many of you really felt like going into this storm, if it had been a direct hit, that you would have been prepared? 936, let me make sure the phone lines are up and working. Yes, honey child, we're 81% here on the phone line. 936-2626. I want to know. Question of the day. Let's stick it up. Do you feel that if that storm had hit us, that you were adequately prepared? I know for a fact that some of you the day before were messaging me about your landlords saying, my landlord doesn't want me to board up the place, Miss Sandy. What should I do? All of these things you need to think about before storm time. Let me tell you something. We live in the hurricane belt. Before you sign a contract for a lease, now I know some of y'all be desperate and you just grab anything. But before you sign a contract, what you need to do is you need to say to your landlord, hey, landlord, I need to know what your hurricane policy is because I don't see anything about it in this contract, in this lease agreement. Keep everything in writing. I mean, it should be there. It should be there. And if it isn't, you need to inquire, because who okay, one second. Yes. All right, so who 1 second. My apologies. All right. So who would you say? Oh, my apologies. My brain is doing too many things currently. All right. So if you have a landlord and you've got windows and stuff like that, whose responsibility do you think it is to board up the landlord's windows? Any takes on this? Did you feel adequately prepared? So this is the question for the day. Did you feel adequately prepared for this storm? Did you have everything? Now, you were prepared because the storm never really impacted anybody, but had it impacted us as a direct hit, what you had in place, was that enough? I think even for myself, like there could have been things that I did a little bit differently. That night I was even thinking about, I got to be honest with you, it's been such a minute now that I didn't think about the fact that water authority would be turning off the water. So I guess they did the same thing during Ivan. I can't really say that I remember. Here's the poll link, folks. Go ahead and vote. And I'm going to put this up here in a second as well. But maybe back then we didn't get advance notice. Of course, 20 years ago, social media definitely was not what it is today. So I don't actually recall like seeing any messages or anything back then. They probably just did it and we were like, okay, whatever. We had like one radio station to tune into in terms of storm prep, and that was it. So I think from that perspective, like at the last minute, I was like, oh, you know what? I need more water for I forgot certain things, not just flushing the toilets. Like we filled up the bathtub, we had some big things of water. But then that night, as I was like doing my final shower before the water went out, I was like, oh, wait a minute. You know what else I didn't think about? I didn't think about that I need water to wash my hands. the simple stuff. Because I'm thinking, oh, just turn on the tap and wash my hands. Nope. I need water to wash my hands. I need water to brush my teeth. So I had even thought about extra water, smaller jugs, of course, for those types of things as well. So when I thought about it, I'm like, I'm not prepared. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning. Just want to add that, we all live in the Caribbean and this is a yearly thing. And
Yes.
I do believe that, people should be prepared without the authorities coming to tell you, at least
I
from
know.
me. We pick up few stuff that, say if a hurricane should pass by, at least I have this and I wouldn't have to be doing last minute shopping. So I think this is
Exactly.
something that everyone that lives in the Caribbean that
Yep.
is prone to hurricane
You gotta be
think
prepared.
about. They prepare for vacation and everything else except hurricane season.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. You're absolutely right. Now, let me ask you this question. Whose responsibility, if you're renting from someone, whose responsibility you think it is to make sure that the property is boarded up?
To be honest, I'm glad you asked that question because I'm the one that voice noted you on WhatsApp asking if it's the property manager or the owner supposed to.
I think more than one person probably asked the question because a guy was messaging me too.
Okay, so where I am living at, I message my property manager to find out if anybody will be coming to check the roof or anything like that. And if we are able to put up boarding over the roof, and they were saying that that was not allowed.
Wow.
And they wouldn't be having anybody to come in and check the roof. So
but that's crazy, right?
And honestly, I was really pissed because they were saying that if any tenant don't feel like the structure is good enough or strong enough for the hurricane, they advise that we go to the nearest hurricane shelter. And I'm like, these people raise their rent every 1st of June, every year. And this is what they're telling you. And you're trying to be prepared and they're telling you, oh, you cannot board up the window. And every other house on this road have their shutters or they have boards over the window except ours.
Wow.
But one thing I can say is that God is in the midst, because a Category 3 hurricane that passed close by here, and we don't have flooding and severe damage. We all have to be thankful, very, very thankful.
Yes. Yep.
Because it could have been worse. We see less trend past here and the flooding.
Yes. Do you think now that this is the sort of thing that maybe the government needs to step in? I mean, we talk about the fact that government really should be mandating certain things as it relates to tenancy agreements. Is this one of them where they should say, listen, we live in a hurricane zone, and so landlords, you don't get to just collect all the money. You have some responsibilities as well.
Yes, because their tenants are left out, and I always say I wish we had a rent board, because yes, you have these a high cost of rental places nowadays, and it's very unfair to know that you're paying rent, but then you are not comfortable and safe, and you don't see where the landlord is doing anything to fix the place that you are comfortable, but they are collecting and they are increasing the rent.
I agree. Thank you so much.
I do believe that government needs to step in when it comes to that, because a lot of people are, I guess, taking disadvantage of in that way.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
All right, my dear. So let's vote. First question, were you adequately prepared for the storm? Second question, just to call in and give your thoughts. Who's responsible for rental properties? I mean, legally, the landlord is. I mean, I know that. I just want your opinions on how you feel about this situation, and what happens when a landlord tells you. And I have a personal experience story that I'm just going to share with you guys here in a second as well, where that happened to me with a landlord many, many years ago, a commercial property. And I'm going to tell you what my response was to the landlord. But you have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Morning. I think it's definitely the landlord's responsibility. And I think it's ridiculous that they wouldn't, because here's the thing. Yeah, you can say, oh, go to a shelter. If every single person that was renting in Grand Cayman went to a shelter, there would be no shelters.
Exactly. We don't have space for that.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention and talk about is, we can say, okay, be prepared and stock up on your canned foods and stuff. But let's talk about the real situation with a lot of people in Grand Cayman living paycheck to paycheck. They're literally going to have to now eat their hurricane supply in order to make it to their next paycheck.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing. There are people who are not living paycheck to paycheck, but if they are, they're doing so because apparently they're going out there paying $1,000 for a Carnival outfit.
Yes. And some people are living above their means, obviously.
Yes.
Now that
I mean
a different story.
Yeah, but that's a lot of the story.
Afford it.
Yeah, that's a lot of the story for a lot of people.
And that's sad.
Yeah, I mean, this fiscal responsibility. It's like we can budget for everything else. I'm sure you know people who say that they're living paycheck to paycheck, yet every time you see them, nails are done, hair is done. They're like to the nine, and they're not doing it themselves. It's not like they're self-pampering. They're literally, going out there and paying somebody else to do that. That's $75, $100 every time they do that. Hair extensions, I don't know what the going rate is for them, but I think they can run into the hundreds of dollars. People need to be more fiscally responsible. Let me tell you something, caller. I saw some people
I agree.
Talking online, posting about how they can't afford stuff.
They can't afford it.
And I was like, just the other day, they were saying to me how when they go to Miami, they can afford to drop thousands of dollars on a spending trip. And this is where the mixed messaging confuses me, because I'm like, you can't say that to me. And then I see you posting on social media that you don't have any money for canned goods. I mean, canned goods are probably the cheapest thing that you can buy at the grocery store. Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. 936-2626. Phone lines are open. Yes, there are people who live paycheck to paycheck, but let's not over exaggerate the situation for people who live paycheck to paycheck because of their own fault. That's where I'm a bit cautious about. Let's push this narrative that everybody's living paycheck to paycheck. Everybody's not living paycheck to paycheck, right? Speaking of which, let me tell y'all how y'all are not living paycheck to paycheck. I saw you all, well, I didn't see you with my own two eyes yesterday because I stayed home, but I heard about how you guys were at the fast food joints. every single fast food joint in Cayman yesterday after the all clear was given, the lines were going out the door, around the corner, around the block. And I'm thinking, didn't y'all just buy food? What y'all doing out there? You just went to the grocery store and bought stuff. Well, we at least know you bought toilet paper. Maybe nothing else. I don't really know. But you stocked up on the most. And here you are again, now going and paying for fast food the day that the storm, I mean, it hasn't even passed good yet. I think a lot of us need some fiscal management classes. We need help. No, sir. What a mess. This person said, not me. I cooked some good old curry chicken. Man, I had my hurricane leftovers. I had, I keep getting the name wrong, but corned beef. Miss Stacy made some of that before she left the day before, and that's what I had yesterday. I was licking my fingers on leftover corned beef, which I don't eat except hurricane season. I had corned beef. What else did I eat yesterday? Piece of leftover chicken that was in the fridge. And I had breadfruit, honey child. I was frying up some crispy breadfruit yesterday after the show. Remember I told y'all I was going to go in the kitchen and had some nice yellow heart breadfruit. Yummy. Fried that up, sprinkled that with some salt. We got this, what is it? Truff hot sauce that somebody told Marlon must try. They gave him some of it. And I put that on there. That was actually really good. So talk to me about fiscal management and how y'all really live in paycheck to paycheck. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good. How are you? All right. Question number one. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sure. What you want to ask?
No. I want you to do the surveys, but you go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, first of all, I wanted to publicly commend you for how you represented us on ABC News yesterday. I was super proud and super impressed. I was like, that's my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
thank you.
Continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you were going to say?
Yes. So were you adequately prepared for the storm? Had it hit us like a direct hit, would you have been prepared?
I think I was.
Okay.
What I did was from before hurricane season started, I started buying my supplies. And I know that the government, I think it's the government or Cayman Compass or whoever it is, they release these magazines every year, checklists.
The prepared, that's Cayman Prepared. That's the government that does that. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, so I tried to follow that, and I have 6 cases of water.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 gallons of water, right? I bought my food ahead of time. So, I mean, I only was stuck in that long, cost you less time for 40 minutes, but just for something I didn't have to do a whole pile of shopping during the madness when it was going around. So I think I was adequately prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So,
good. And then in terms of landlords, what do you think now? Should the landlord be the one who is responsible for boarding up their property? And if your landlord says that they're not going to do it, what do you do as a tenant?
Well, I agree that it is the landlord's responsibility. I mean, the property is the landlord, and it's their prerogative to manage and maintain it. However, I don't think that government should get involved. I think the market can provide solutions without government intervention. For instance, landlords who prioritize the safety and the preparedness of their tenants, they might attract more tenants, creating a competitive advantage. And I think that I don't think that government should get involved. I think it's government overreach. It makes things more inefficient.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like government overreach, but I'm going to tell you that the landlord tenancy area is one of those where landlords just are not motivated to do the right thing. And because the market is what it is and tenants are normally desperate for a place, you find that a lot of tenants are just being taken advantage of.
Well, Sandra, what do you think about, I don't know. I mean, I think I've bounced this idea to you before. What do you think about some entity, not government, but some private entity that, rates landlords, rates, responsiveness, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much that would help, because I think that helps in a market where you have a lot of choices. I think that when you don't have a lot of choices, so in other words, the rental market is as tight as it is in Cayman, right? Where people, it's in the States, you can pick, choose, and refuse, maybe, depending on a number of different factors. I think here in Cayman, it's far less the case, especially if like you've got kids, you have a certain budget, you have, a dog, like your choices are just very, very limited in terms of what places you can go. Right?
Well, how far does the government go though? I mean, I can agree with you that, okay, all right, I'll concede. Maybe government should get involved to ensure some minimal, some standard at minimum. You have to have this in place, but how far does that go?
Well, I think that's the discussion that needs to be had before you make any amendments. Like if you're going to set up a landlord tenancy board, you set the parameters for exactly what that board is supposed to do. And, the people should have input into how that works. I mean, we have to find that middle ground. I think that unfortunately, what is happening is that right now it's a complete free for all. We have a landlord tenancy law that has not been amended in God knows how long, that was supposed to be amended. Nothing's ever been done about it.
Amended or enforced?
Well, a little bit of both, because it definitely needs some changes. And I think there were some changes that were actually proposed that never came into force, and that has never happened. And then the minimal that's there isn't enforced anyway. So that's where perhaps a tenancy board might have more power. So, I mean, I feel you, and I think that there is some space in the market for maybe almost like a better business bureau, but for landlords and tenants, where you can rate both landlords and tenants. Because I mean, there's obviously some horrible tenants out there as well that God knows you never want to, deal with. But at the same time, landlords really know that they are in a powerful position. It's like employers and employees. Like, who do you think has the upper hand in most instances when it comes to an employee-employer relationship? It's the employer.
Usually the employer.
Yeah. With landlord and tenancies, most of the time, it is the landlord. They can tell you get out. They can tell you, I'm raising the rent. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And you better just pay your rent and sit down and shut up, is what they think. So, I think that there has to be a little bit more balance added to it. Like it is a balancing act, but you can't tip it too far in one direction or the other.
I see what you're saying, Sandra. Yeah, I can agree. Now that you're hearing it, yeah, governments can have minimum standards in place, and I mean, good landlords, if they're doing the right thing anyway, whether it's put in law or not, it wouldn't make any difference because they're doing the right thing anyway. So I can see what you're saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you so much. Food for thought. Thank you. Appreciate it. And you know what? That's why I love having these discussions on this show, because even for myself, listen, I am open to having my mind changed about most things. There's very few things in life that I'm like 1,000% committed to, and you can't budge me. I will listen. And I think this is part of, just communicating with each other. I'll listen to your points. I'll be like, all right, maybe that's something I need to think about, make some adjustments. I'm going to tell you guys after this phone call about a conversation I had with someone the other day as it relates to politics, and something that they said to me that made me think, okay, let me rethink it. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra.
Good morning, Minister. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I just thought I'd take the opportunity to, now that we all have settled down and are over the storm, and I'm certain some people have been doing their cleanups all day yesterday and probably a lot of it today as well.
Yes.
But as we are starting to resettle, I wanted to remind the public, if they can, in the best way they can, to remember to save the things that you have. I'm quite sure you've probably said this already, but it's so important because it allows us to be prepared quicker without the hassle of being overloading at the supermarkets or at A.L. Thompson or Kirk Home Center. So particularly when it comes to the plywood, I know sometimes people will use the plywood for, home repairs or do-it-yourself projects, but let's not do any of that until at least the season is over. I would actually encourage you to keep it, because plywood can last you good 5 to 7 years if you store it properly. But not everybody has the ability to have storage, so it can get wet easily, and then you have a problem. So I get that, but at least for the season, let's keep what you have, and store it away. The sandbags as well, because I tell you, if you had to fill your bags yourself, I know you would appreciate the work that you had to go through. You don't want to have to go through that again. I did 500 bags myself on the holiday Monday.
Minister,
it was
you don't have to go to the gym this month. You just got your whole workout.
No, honestly, I feel a little bit more pumped already. But so keep those sandbags, and for those who are in a affordable position to do this, I want them to save their canned goods and their dried goods. Please keep them stocked. I understand that, that many people may not be in that position who used up their salaries to purchase these canned goods and so forth. So I can't say to everybody, oh, don't consume those, because some people may have to do so. But if you can, please do save it. That way you don't have to worry about those things. Obviously, the batteries and water and stuff like that, you can, if you're in an affordable position, please store those as well. So that way that when it's time to deal with a storm, God forbid again, for the rest of the season, all we got to do is activate the things that we already have in place. So I just want to remind you, while you're doing your cleanup, think about those things, just store them, put them in the corner, and be ready to roll when it's time again. So that's it. Also, I'm quite sure you're aware, there's a government press briefing at 1 p.m. today to give an overview, to let everybody, not only locally, but globally, that operations are back up. So we'll be going through the details, and obviously I'll be covering my areas of constitutional responsibility, because it's so important that we get the tourism operations back up and going, so those who are in the tourism industry can get back to work. I'll be talking about when we expect cruise lines back, when we expect to be accepting visitors, all those kinds of things that people may want to know who are in the industry. We'll be doing that at the press briefing today. Honorable Deputy Premier, the Governor.
Oh, there's another press briefing today?
Yes, at 1 p.m. So please tune in today. All right?
All right, my dear. Thank you. Appreciate it.
God bless. Have a good.
All right. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Not bad. How are you?
Good. Regarding landlord tenant?
Yes. Tell me what your thoughts are on that one.
Their property, not the tenant property. That's why landlords are supposed to have insurance, number one.
That's right. Yes.
Their property. Tenant, if they can afford rental insurance, that's another route for them to take for their own personal belongings on the interior.
Do people here, do insurance companies here offer rental insurance?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
It can be a little expensive, but a lot less expensive than having to replace everything if it's an unfurnished unit. Also, lease agreements, landlords expect a tenant to pay a lease to their completion. Well, if a property is damaged, then I feel the landlord should be responsible, as long as the lease, to make sure there is housing for those tenants until their property is repaired. And if it cannot be repaired, then the landlord should have to continue paying rent for the tenant someplace else the same price or below until their lease agreement is up.
Yeah.
That's just the way I look at, I'm a landlord.
Yes.
And I think that people just, it's a give and take.
Yes.
People can't take and expect over and over again and not get anything back. I mean, let's play fair, let's play nice, let's just be decent human beings. And there's plenty of cities on this island that should be deemed inhabitable. I mean, I know of some employees where they live, and it's appalling to see where they live and what they pay to live in these. But I wouldn't even let a rat live in it, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, the government does need to step in and say enough is enough with certain properties. And just like Airbnbs, maybe we need to have a department where they go in and check these rental properties. All Airbnbs have to be checked out.
That's right. That's right. And it's interesting because what you're saying essentially is that an Airbnb, which is for visitors, has to be to a particular standard, but rental properties, which are for people living here long term, you can rent them anything. I mean, I'm going to give you a double kaboom for that.
Yep. And honestly, as many people as we're bringing into the island, maybe it would slow down a little bit if, in fact, it was the employer's responsibility to find housing for their employees.
Okay.
You know, there's a whole big picture we need to look at and stop, using, abusing, and taking advantage of people just because we think we can.
Yes. Thank you, caller. Appreciate it.
You bet.
We do have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller. And don't forget, folks, vote in the poll. Active poll. Were you adequately prepared for this storm? So far, 80% of you are saying yes, 20% are saying no. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra. Glad to hear you.
Good morning, my dear. How are you?
We're all okay.
Beautiful.
Yes. Sorry for the people that got some damage and maybe can't afford to fix their places back. But it's not a bad idea. It's a good idea and a suggestion that I would say. From our hurricane season beginning June straight till November, we got 6 months of hurricane season. For those up there that can afford it, or even helping somebody else. I from February, when I go to the store and I see things that is needed, that is on sale, or even sometimes not on sale. I buy, the dry goods. I usually look at expiration date. If it is expired the next year, I pick up a few cans of this, a few cans of that, and make sure that it's in case you don't have a can opener or anything, which now those kind of things can pop up. Start doing that from February or so, or if you want to start earlier. Not only that, garbage bags, putting away some, because some people have to go to shelters. Unfortunately, we don't have enough for them. And we were promised to get another one in West Bay. Anyhow, we didn't get that. But anyway, the Lord still blessed us. And also Pepto-Bismol, because people get upset stomach, alcohol, Band-Aids, things like that. And keep putting it away in a big plastic container if you can get one of those that you can.
They had them for $12.99. It cost you less. I bought me another one.
Yes, exactly.
Good price.
But we know that it's a hurricane season. We all know. I mean, the Caymanians. Some people come in with the idea, as soon as anything is there, I'm gonna fly off the island and to heck with it. And or some people has this idea, I'm gonna stay and see what a hurricane is all about, and just prepare potato chips and sodas. So why don't they start preparing from early in the year, and until the hurricane season, we go through it. We do. I don't know why people, especially Caymanian people, make such a thing of it. Well, I didn't have this, and I didn't have that, and I did. But yeah, I see them buying their cigarettes. I see them buying, going to the salon and getting their nails done and so forth and so. Not putting anybody down, but you can't go on life depending on other people, and we're too. I don't know what that word would be. And government are softening these people up too much that can't find anything to do, would not go and help, would not even wake up and whatnot. And listen, Sandra, not keeping you any longer because it's callers there. Make I tell you, this landlord thing is going to slow down soon as this construction is over, because some big construction buildings have up to 200 and something employees on the project. That's gonna all soon slow down. We had 2 people in here trying to help them, and they're foreign people, and we're glad to help. Even if they had to just sleep on our cots, they were thankful because their landlord would not secure the property, and they didn't feel secure in the property. So it rent is going to soon come down, and they could be glad to have somebody there, because a lot of them owe the bank. So be easy on your tenants and do what is right. If you get it from the bank, it's got to be insured. So,
all right, my dear.
Secure your property.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I appreciate it very much. All right, folks. Landlords, question for you all is, or not just landlords and tenants, who should be responsible? Legally, the landlord is responsible. Let me make it very, very clear. Lizette, try restarting your stream. We have volume, so you should be hearing us just fine. But yeah, you guys got to do better is the bottom line. Let me read some of your comments now in relation to this morning's discussion thus far. Tracy says the landlord should be responsible for securing the property and not the tenant. Plus, I don't believe the insurance company will pay out if you haven't made an attempt to secure the property by boarding up if they don't have shutters when a hurricane is approaching. I don't know about that, actually. Anybody from insurance listening that can answer this question? I don't think that that's a term of your insurance that you have to board up your property. I mean, that's just good precaution. I mean, I think anybody with a little bit of common sense would see how that is particularly useful to protect your assets. Because as one caller mentioned yesterday, the deductible for insurance policies, especially property insurance, is a lot. I had a friend I think it was that last storm that we had. When was that? Last year or year before? And he was like, the damage, yes, I got some damage, but it doesn't make any sense making a claim in the insurance because the deductible that I have to meet is ridiculous. Now, here's the thing. You got to think about the math. Caymanians love to have a property that is overvalued, right? Because we can go to the bank, we can borrow against that, we can get in more debt because we love debt. We are a community and a society that really has embraced being in debt. Okay, let's accept that as a fact because it is true for most of us. And not only do we embrace being in debt, but the more debt, the better is how we feel about the situation. So if your property, was purchased at $200,000-$300,000, now you get a current evaluation at $600,000. You know, you could theoretically sit back and not get a current valuation unless you have a mortgage, because sometimes the banks will force you every couple of years to get an updated valuation, because that house actually belongs to them until you pay it off. So it is their asset. Most of us are happy to do it. We're like, oh yeah, my house is now valued $600,000 instead of the $200,000 I purchased it for. But you also forget that now you've got to increase your insurance coverage on that property as well, because there is such a thing, and they did it during Ivan. These insurance companies are going to say, oh, hold on a second, you're underinsured, and then they're going to give you a hard time with any amount of coverage. But keep this in mind, that every single time your value goes up, your insurance goes up. In addition to that, your premiums, that's your insurance, your premiums go up, your coverage goes up, right? And your deductible amount becomes even more. So what's the average deductible amount? Is it like 1%, 2% of the insured value? So somebody do the math. If you have a policy for $600,000 on a property, right? Is it 1%? I don't know. But that's $6,000 that you got to come out of pocket in order to be able to pay whatever quotes you get before your insurance will kick in. Good morning, caller.
Morning again. I had to call in to answer your question.
Yes.
Insurance,
what's the percentage? Do you know offhand?
It depends on what company you go for and what policy.
Okay.
Your deductible, you can get as low with certain insurance companies as low as 3%. But 3% of a $600,000, that's the sum that's insured, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at anywhere between $18,000-$19,000 deductible.
Yes,
so what that means is for people who listening is you have to have that money set aside, put somewhere, so that in the event a disaster hits, right? Let's say
that's what you got to pay out of pocket first.
You have to pay out of that before the rest of that kicks in. If the damage is that amount, insurance doesn't kick in at all. If it's less than that deductible amount, you have to pay all of that out of pocket.
Exactly.
If the damage is maybe $2,000 or $3,000 over, or maybe $5,000 over the deductible, it really don't make any sense.
Not at all. Because now you're putting a claim in that's going to work against you. Because remember,
that's going to work.
Yeah, a lot of you get discounts or a certain rate based on the fact that you haven't made any claims. And the more claims that we have as a jurisdiction, the more insurance rates are going to go up. Strong Will says these insurance companies are a bunch of thieves. Well, that's the nature of the business. You can call it whatever you want, just like y'all can call banks thieves. You know, they have the perimeters within which they operate, and it is what it is. You have got to know what the rules are. So when you get into policy, and this is where I tell people, even when they're looking at a mortgage, this is why I chuckle when people say to me, and this is, you know, the other day I was talking about poor people mentality, right? And how as poor people, we think a particular way. We think the same way about mortgages as well. Oh, I'm going to get a mortgage and I'm paying $1,200 a month in rent. So why the bank won't give me a mortgage? I can afford a mortgage. Oh yeah, hell you can. Because it's all these other things that you actually don't think about, like this. What happens when you have damage to your property? You don't think the bank is realizing that now you got to find anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 before your insurance is even going to kick in? It's not the same thing as rental, because if you in rental property, quite frankly, that's none of your business. What's going on with insurance? That's up to the landlord.
Right.
Thank you, Carl.
No, but I wanted to say something to the commenter who says that insurance people are rip-offs, right? People need to remember, insurance is good if you can afford it. If you have a mortgage, well, you have no choice but to have insurance, right? And I mean, yeah, the money you pay into the insurance company gets that, but you know, that's their incentive for taking on that risk.
Yes.
Right? Your responsibility as a property owner is to make sure that, I mean, if it's on the mortgage, yeah, it's on the mortgage, but you still have to take care of that place as best as you can. It's a little different, but it's like saying, oh, well, you know, I'm going to have auto insurance, therefore I'm going to drive recklessly on the road. No, like you still have to take care of that car. You still have to make sure that you don't cause any accidents or things. The insurance is there for that risk. It's a good thing to have if you can afford it.
And to be clear, I know of people who don't have a mortgage and they don't have insurance, and they say, you know, what I save on paying insurance each year, you know, I just set that money aside. Now, the caveat to that,
on that risk.
Yes,
they've taken on that risk onto themselves.
The caveat is most people are actually not saving it. Even the people who have the financial means and claiming that they can save it, in reality, they're also living paycheck to paycheck. Listen, you could be making 50 grand a month and still living paycheck to paycheck, you know.
You have to get your priorities in place, Sandra.
Yeah. Thank you, caller.
Yep.
I'm telling you, it's I know people in the situation. They're like, oh, you know, they don't have insurance. I'm like, well, not having a mortgage is a fantastic position to be in. And instead of paying, my God, depending on the value of your home, you know, you could be saving anywhere from 20 to way more than that, thousands of dollars each year on insurance policies. And they're like, no, I'll just put that aside in the event that I have, you know. And I said, well, it certainly depends on what happens, because if it's a catastrophic event and you pretty much lose the whole house, are you in a position to replace everything? All the appliances, to do all the construction work, all the materials, knowing that the cost of these things have gone up since you built your house. You know, I agree with Jim. He says insurance is like any other business. It's a business, and they're in business to make money for their companies. And I do agree with that. You know, and it is what it is. Just the other day in Florida, insurance companies are saying people in low-lying areas, the Keys and other places. By the way, I went to Florida Keys the other day. I'm going to tell you all about that later on. First time I've ever been to the Keys. But people in low-lying areas, we're no longer going to cover you for motor insurance policies because it's too much risk for the insurance companies. So you can imagine not being able to get insurance coverage. So the governments are scrambling, Florida, California, with wildfires and all this sort of stuff. Governments themselves are sort of scrambling to figure out what to do with insurance coverage in different areas. And in fact, in the state of Florida, it's one of the most expensive states now to get home policies as well, after they've been hit in recent years with a couple storms. HOAs, you know, are like the majority of our HOA fee. That's the housing organization fees, right? The majority of their fees, I think it's pretty much equivalent of strata fees, but the majority of their fees now is the insurance policy. And a lot of people are like, we cannot afford it. You know, right now, just as a side note, in the state of Florida, because Florida is always really, really interesting. I know a lot of people here actually, you know, have connections to Florida. The Caymanians tend to live in Florida. They want to stay relatively close to home. So some of you may even have properties and stuff there. Remember that collapse of that building called, hold on, let me tell you what it's called. What was it called again? So Surfside. So 98 people died in the Champlain Towers South condominium that came down in Surfside. And this is a very, very interesting ongoing situation, because as a result of that collapse, the state of Florida has now implemented stricter, which I mean, you thought it would have been in place already, but stricter guidelines when it comes to like the engineering reports. Okay. And in order for you now, like before you purchase a property, you basically need to go out there and get an engineering report on it before you're going to be able to get a mortgage on the property, to make sure that this isn't a property that has issues like Surfside did, because Surfside had issues and they knew about it and they did not rectify those issues. And as a result, the entire building collapsed back in 2021. You guys might remember this. We covered it. And a total of 98 people actually died in that horrific event. So lots of changes coming down the pipeline as a result of this. And the changes now, the legislative changes that have been made, are about to come into effect. I'm trying to remember exactly when, but they're coming soon. Because just the other day when I was in Miami, I was listening to, you guys know that I love NPR, and they have such amazing shows all the time. And they were talking about the new changes that are coming and what it means for homeowners. So a lot of homeowners are actually holding off on buying properties because they need to know that an engineering report has been done on a structure and on a building. And, the HOAs are like, listen, this whole thing is causing us such an immense amount of stress and headache because, quite frankly, it's just too much. Like, realtors are saying the market is what it is. And if you don't have this report and you go and jump the fence and buy something right now, you're going to find yourself in a little bit of trouble because you need to be able to get this report. So this was a 12-story condominium building. It had 136 units, and 55 units were involved in the collapse, but pretty much the entire building had to be demolished and taken down. So now the legislators, again, have placed, they're finally come to terms with the legislation that's going to be put in place as a result of this collapse, right? And it's considered one of the deadliest structural failures in U.S. history. Things that impact insurance, things that we need to be contemplating and thinking about in terms of structural safety of buildings, who's responsible for what. It's a lot to think about. And listen, if you're a landlord, Jim, I noticed you have quite a few comments on here. Let me see if I can get to some of your comments. If you are a landlord, it is your responsibility to make sure that your tenants are safe. That is your legal responsibility. You actually have, outside of whatever you think is in your contract or isn't in your contract, right? There's certain things that you don't have to put in a contract that are without saying, right? The safety of your tenants. They can sue you, pay attention now, for your failures as a landlord. And I think a lot of it hasn't happened in Cayman because we're not a terribly litigious society. Like, we don't like to sue people. Changing, for sure. And landlords have been able to get away with a lot. People have been able to get away with a lot. But as people become more and more cognizant and knowledgeable about their rights, you're going to find these things start to shift and change quite a bit. So it is your responsibility to have a plan. You want to be a landlord, you want to have a rental property, you don't get to just benefit from collecting money every single month and have no responsibility. It is a catch-22. You can have some benefits and you will have some responsibilities as well that come with being a landlord. So you need to have a plan. If you're a landlord, for example, in Windsor Park, and you know that area is prone to flooding, really, you're the person who should be supplying the plywood, supplying the sandbags, all of that stuff. You've got to ensure that your rental property is sufficient and adequately protected, as well as your tenants, most importantly, right? And give them some of the bare minimum tools that they need to ensure the property itself is protected. Now, you're not necessarily directly responsible for their contents, but normally your contents will be protected if you protect the exterior sufficiently enough. Right? So you need to have a checklist that's separate from your own personal stuff. 48 hours out, 72 hours out. What do I need to do? I need to contact my tenants. A workman will be coming by doing X, Y, Z to secure the place. I had to do the exact same thing. I couldn't just think about, just my house. No, there's properties involved that I'm responsible for. Got to call the maintenance guys. Oh yeah, that nice, beautiful swing that looks good outside of hurricane season that's sitting on the patio becomes a bit of a flying projectile during a storm. And quite frankly, it can't be just picked up and moved inside. Like, it is heavy, and I don't even know if it fits through the door now that it's assembled, but somebody's got to tie it down. We got to protect it, because if that becomes a flying projectile and hits somebody upside the head or whatever, you're responsible for it. Think about these things, folks. Good morning, caller.
morning, Sandy. How are you?
Morning, not bad. How are you?
I'm kind of feeling very, very, very grateful.
Yes.
I know some people. I'm just joining, so I'm not sure how much you've gotten into already. But I know there are some people that may think, "Oh my goodness, we may have been too prepared." You can never be too prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy because I feel I can actually get through the rest of hurricane season now, knowing that okay, I had everything I needed, and I just need to top up, the little things, maybe, obviously get new sandbags and what has to happen. In terms of rental properties, so many of our rental properties are not even in livable condition, much less after storm conditions.
That is so true.
After storm. I am completely I visited a friend a couple months ago in an area that I didn't even know you could have residential area.
Oh.
And down in behind industrial, way in industrial, not even where you have stuff behind Vic's bar, way in industrial. And then when I saw the property, I was like, it was sandwiched in between businesses, and I just couldn't. I'd never actually witnessed this bed share situation, and I just couldn't believe it. There was 3 or 4, maybe I think there was 6. No, 4. 3 bunks on top of the other, homemade bunks, and then a smaller. I don't know. I just don't. I mean, I understand why people are trying to. They have to spend a lot of money, but they have to support families back home. But then these are people now that are working in our restaurants, taking care of our children, or doing various things in Cayman, and these are the conditions that they're living in for minimum wage as well. And a lot of conversation needs to be had about how we're treating some of our people on work permit. Yes, they have a choice whether to come or not, but we must have some responsibility, and I believe it's written on the work permit, to provide a livable income where they can. Is it? Am I correct? Is it there?
I mean, but I mean, listen, this is an ongoing conversation. I think that unfortunately, it hasn't been sufficiently, my apologies, addressed, because we need to do better. I mean, I agree with you 1,000%. We invite people to come here and work, and by invitation, we have a responsibility. Yes.
But Sandy, it's worse. We financially rely on it.
Yes.
Our government is a major source of revenue for our government, if not the source. I don't know where it ranks, and I guess they think, a lot of employers and people think everybody's replaceable, but as you replace people, you're getting people that care less and less and less about where they are and how they treat where they are.
Yeah.
I just passed the parking lot over the bridge to West Bay. There's still about 7 cars there.
The NRA has got to address that, because I think some of those people have actually gone abroad.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, we have these nice license plates that are easily traceable. So what is the issue? Slap a fine on them, because everybody else, the rest of us, had to suffer and keep our put our cars where we could legally put. And then some of the cars actually had the nerve to have for sale written on them.
Listen, if you go back and watch my video, maybe I'll play it at the end of the program. There's actually vehicles there that have no registration whatsoever.
Okay.
Yes. Can you imagine?
No, I didn't catch that part of it, but
My God.
You don't have a reason to lie.
Listen, I got the video proof.
Real life is bad enough.
Yeah, I got the video proof. I mean, I'll show it. Thank you so much, caller.
Well, have a great day,
you
Sandy,
too.
And speedy recovery to everyone who's dealing with fixing properties and whatnot around.
Yes, absolutely.
The 3 islands and the Caribbean in general.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this is shocking that people would have the audacity to park illegally along the roadside and not even have a registered vehicle. I'm like, y'all are special. They took off their license plates. Good morning, caller. I couldn't believe it. Morning, caller.
Hello.
Hi.
Auntie Sandy, it's me.
Hey, Johan, how are you?
Hey, how'd you make out? Just lost some trees. Everything else was all right with you and the crew?
Yeah, we didn't even lose trees. We're good. I saw the poor birds in the neighborhood. They lost their bird nest, but we're good here.
No,
A couple pieces of the fence, but
I thought Marlon would have lost some of his fruit trees there.
No, man, the fruit trees held up good, honey Joe. Mango tree still standing. Breadfruit tree good. Everybody good.
Well, you noticed that I asked about your conditions and your kitchen and all the rest of that, so that means there's no excuse to not get some of them things this weekend. Anyway, morning to the CMR Mafia. Hopefully everybody came out all right, just a little bit wet and breezed up a little bit. But that caller just now, don't know who she is, but that woman was preaching the gospel. I agree with everything that lady just said, and it is deplorable to see some of the living conditions that people have, especially workers who choose to come here in order to make a better life for their families back home. But some of the conditions are subhuman, if truth be told. And that just leads to the point of enforcement and ensuring that we're consistently applying the rules, whatever they are. And if they don't exist, we need to have legislation and protocols in place whereby we are effectively acting like a first world country for everybody, not just the rich and the wealthy.
That's right.
But for those that are working class, that are here to make a better life, to send money back home. Rules shouldn't just apply to select people, and standards of living should not just apply to certain classes of people. Everybody should have a particular
there has to be minimum standards in place, and the minimum standards for, as you rightfully say, for a first world country is higher than it is for a third world country. So we can't claim to be a first world country when it's convenient for us to do so, to attract people here and investors and this and that, and defend the cost of living in this country. And then on the other hand, on the flip side of the coin, have this standard of living that does not speak to the fact that we are actually first class. You can't. The two don't go together.
Preach it, amen. Preach it. I just want to make 2 points. Auntie Sandy, whether we, me, you, and we do have differing views that we do exchange, and it gets colorful sometimes, but I think the one thing we can agree on, or that the country should look at, is in light of catching a break, and thank God for his mercies that he spared Cayman from what I thought was going to be significant damage and hardship. But if we aren't having a national conversation now about where and how and why we are allowing structures to be built close to the sea, if you can't have it now, and if we can't do something about it now, then there's something wrong with us. Yes. There's something wrong with the system. There's something wrong with our leaders. Because there's a
let's bring that home here, Johan, because right now we're in the middle of a conversation with this current government about the National Conservation Act, right? And they want to basically, I mean, they haven't said what the changes are. Other people have said through the grapevine on the Mall Road, this is what they've heard, or the changes coming down the pipeline, where they themselves as a government don't want anybody telling them what to do when it comes to projects. They don't want any environmental assessment requirements or anything like that, no EIAs. So how do you juxtapose those desires from a government against what we see with every single storm? Nor'westers are getting crazier. And we see that those beachfront properties that are built too close to the shoreline, we see that the ripping up of the mangroves and all this other stuff is something that is detrimental to us as a people. I'm confused by the argument that says, to hell with the environment, we need to think about the people because we need to live, we need to survive. And I'm like, okay, if we need to live and we need to survive, don't we need a healthy balance and relationship with the environment in order to do that? Every time they talk about, the ice caps are melting quicker and what that's going to do to the entire world. And there's certain places that are already low-lying that are going to have even more flooding. At some point, they're going to be underwater, beach erosion, all this stuff, because we as human beings are actually having an impact on the environment. We have destroyed more of the world in a detrimental way than we've ever contributed anything positive.
Auntie Sandy, I'm not going to debate you because I think there's too much merit to the argument of the need for balance. But the problem in Cayman is he that has the goal makes all the rules. I ran in the last election in 2021. I was unsuccessful. I'm grateful to everybody that voted for me and supported me. But I'm going to tell you this. I didn't lose because of votes. I lost because of the lobbying and the campaign financing power of money. I was not a favored person from the developers because I spoke as I always do, which is straight to the point, and I speak what I know to be the reality. But developers own politicians. Uber rich people in this country own politicians. They are multi-generational Caymanian. They are new Caymanian. They're people that don't even have Caymanian status, but they're in the development game, and they understand that the game of politics requires money and funding, and politicians are now addicted to that. But I'm going to make another point. We have senior civil servants. Heard what I said? Senior civil servants that have ambitions to one day lead the civil service as the deputy governor, who are addicted to and compromised in the same way that the elected officials are. There are heads of departments that are compromised. You know why? Because money is the one thing that everybody can understand and everybody wants to get theirs. So until we have thorough investigations into the financing of how public officers, because I promise you this, if Johan Moxham has money coming in from anywhere, they're going to investigate, they're going to file a SAR, they're going to probe a microscope up my backside to understand how and why I have whatever financing and the funding that I have. That rule has to apply to everybody, and we need to stop pretending that politicians do not compromise themselves. We need to stop pretending that senior civil servants and people on boards and public officers do not compromise themselves for the sake of money. It happens. It has been happening. And we as a country need to understand it, not just people that run for office or that are elected to office. The system at its core is broken. The system at its core is rotten. But what happens in Cayman, we only select one or two people to make an example of. You mean to tell me, and McKeever Bush has done many good things in his lifetime of politics, and he's done some things that have embarrassed himself. However, you're telling me McKeever Bush is the only elected official that merits being investigated, charged, and taken to court? Look back in our life. Look back in our adult life. Who else do you know?
I mean, I don't think that. I mean, I think you have to be careful. I don't know about merits, but if there's evidence, I think what has been demonstrated in this country is that nobody's above the law. So he has on more than one occasion been held to account.
I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm not saying he's innocent, but I'm just saying if he's the only person that the system can zero in on to say that we're going to investigate and charge, the system is broken and they're deliberately missing out people. Corruption is real in this country, Sandy. You know it. I know it. People are bought and sold all the time. People are of the
there's two things that you have to ensure, right? Number one, that you've got the evidence to back up what's said. Because one thing to say that the system are corrupt and that people are corrupt, there's a whole other thing to be able to prove it. And number two, it actually has to be an offense, right? So the relationship between these politicians and developers or big money or whatever, none of that is actually an offense. They can collect that. That's where it goes back to this primary concern about, campaign financing and how far back do we push the envelope when it comes to campaign financing?
Nobody wants
because campaign financing can't be, the 2 months before an election. It happens entire 4 years. So how do you reform legislation to actually address that issue?
Nobody in a position of power wants campaign financing because that's where you connect the dots. That's where you get the paper trail. That's where you're able to
that's what needs to be done. But the legislators themselves are not going to do it on their own because it impacts them. So
no argument from me then.
All right, we got another caller. Thank you.
No, I was just going to make this one point.
Sure.
Make this point. If we don't understand, we have to stop granting approvals to build complexes, apartments, condos, houses on the water. We are crazy because you know why? When there's a hurricane, when there's bad weather, the cumulative effect of those insurance claims impacts all of us, and all of our insurance costs go up. So if we don't understand, and if the planning CPA or whoever's responsible for that don't understand that they are helping to drive up the cost of Caymanians living in Cayman and affording to live in Cayman, and if the politicians don't understand that, they don't get it. And I'm just going to end the call by saying, I want to congratulate you for your starring role on ABC. Super proud of you as our media representative. Fantastic job. And I particularly enjoyed when you used your American accent and you mentioned that here in Grand Caymans, you know what I mean? I thought that was particularly funny. But all jokes aside, fantastic job. Thank you for representing us.
Thank you
showing
very
the world
much.
that we do have solid people in media. So
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks very much. All right. We had another caller. Please do give us a shout back. Someone asked a good question. Natasha asked a good question and says, why doesn't DEH actually remove those vehicles? I think it's a valid question, Natasha. But, again, going back to what the law empowers DEH to do, it's a bit of a ring around the roses. You stick up a notice. It has to be a month, and then this and that. In cases like this, there has to be a requirement to. Oh, my apologies. There has to be some sort of a requirement to not have people park there to begin with. So in my mind, prevention is going to be better than cure. But I do think that when they do park there should be some kind of emergency order that allows removal of those vehicles right away. If people know that your vehicle is going to get towed and removed and you're going to have to pay to get it back, they're not going to park there. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra.
Morning. How are you?
I'm well. I'd just like to start by saying this. There's a saying which we all might be familiar with. To those whom much is given, much is to be demanded. And that saying goes directly to what Johan was just speaking to. And it is this, and it goes directly to what you were just speaking to as it pertains to the whole full 4-year period between electoral cycles. And I truly believe, and I think the Caymanians would be wise to understand this point. Those who are given so much power within the decision-making processes that Cayman has to make as a country, and the centrifugation of power that we have within the cabinet and within the legislative assembly.
Yes.
Demand in any realm of sense that those given that privilege of being representatives of the people have to be made to submit to full transparency of every single penny that comes into their coffers in order for any of this to change. I understand 100% the reality that you made mention of, which is they are not going to be the ones to do it. We have seen them. We have seen them do everything they can, besides all the rhetoric, to run away from actually putting in concrete legislation that would demand that they show full transparency into where their funds come from. So that speaks to the point. I just want to talk back to what you were speaking about as it pertains to, rental properties, what the lady previously and Johan were speaking to as it pertains to of a lower income strata who come to the Cayman Islands to work largely, right? Let us look at this reality. Let us look at the reality that we have a lot of people here in Cayman who come here to work to try to better their lives, who are paid an unlivable wage. And the reality is this: if all of those properties which provide substandard housing at a reduced rate, sometimes completely legal, right? not anything that the planning department has said yes on. Those properties would then immediately become unavailable to those who are living and working here on an unlivable wage. And the powers that be know that full well. And in order for them to continue on the trajectory that Cayman is and has been on, they have no interest in improving the situation for those who come here as lower wage and low wage expatriate workers. And we have to realize that fact itself. Make everybody know. If these properties where people are living in substandard conditions were made to come up to a livable standard, those same people would not be able to afford it because of the ridiculously high cost of living that we in the Cayman Islands are made to bear.
Well, I mean, I'm going to counter that argument, Jonathan, a little bit here, right? Because my counter is this. The prices that people are charging for some of the cockroach-infested holes in the walls, even the current rate, is not, that rate is based on if the property was decent and livable. It's not based on it being a slum location. So I think we have missed the mark. I mean, you're asking people, hold on a second though. You're asking people who say that they want to be in business to make an investment in the business. Because that's essentially what your rental property is. It's a business. Even in Cuba, let me show you how backwards we are as a first world country. Even in Cuba, I've went there and I've rented what do they call them? The paladeras, where you stay in somebody's home, right? This was before Airbnb even existed. You stayed in somebody's home, you pay them a nightly rate. The Cuban government taxes them because they want their money, but they also have to be at a particular standard. They do inspections and they have requirements for those people who want to rent out a room or two in their homes. So I do think that it's a bit ridiculous in this country, in this community. We have people who want to rent any and everything. People's roofs. People have sent me video footage of a rental property with the roof leaking on top of a baby and NAU. Our government is paying for them to stay there. And $1,200 a month. At $1,200 a month, you should not have a leaking roof. I don't care. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, our own NAU, which is our money that is being spent to support people, they do not even have an inspection regime because, again, they're so desperate because nobody wants to rent NAU. They'll take anything. And this is a problem when you've lowered your standards that low. You'll take anything and shove people into and paying good money for an unlivable place. That can't be right. And just because you say, you know what, y'all have to bring it up to standards and it has to be up to par in terms of now it's going to be livable, that doesn't mean that they can turn around and increase the rent to $2,500. The major problem is there's too much of a demand for rental properties in Cayman. The demand and supply is the biggest issue. And where there is an uber demand for it at all levels, you're going to have this type of situation happening.
Yeah. Where you find that person in the world,
I think we have somebody else in the line who's having another conversation. But thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.
Irvelin says all foul coop they would want to rent to people. Wicked. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Sandy.
Morning, dear. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I think that it's the landlord's responsibility to secure the property during any form of disaster.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what the structure is. Every structure is subject to damage.
Mm-hmm.
So I have seen houses that have been built to standard, the roof gone.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Mr. Otter's shop. That shop has gone through the ringer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it is still there, but it is the landlord's responsibility to at least secure the one.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back, we are talking about development.
Call it one second for me. I'm going to add a third caller in the line. I'm just forewarning you because the other day, for some reason, when I started doing that, it was dropping all the calls. So just in case the two of you get dropped, but I want to see if this issue is persisting because I did report it to Flo as well. So one quick second for me. Because we used to be able to add unlimited. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, we have 3 people on the line now. All right, good. It didn't drop it this time. Go ahead, caller. Uh-oh. Did I forget to hit merge? Hold on. My apologies. Unable to make conference calls. So there's something that has... Hello, caller? Yeah, unable to make conference calls. So something has happened. I don't know if it's a network issue or a phone issue, but can somebody at Flow give me a help here? Because when I try to add the third caller, unfortunately, it doesn't work anymore. And I used to be able to add tons of calls together. So I need to reach out to Flo. Maybe they can help me. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy.
Hi, dear.
I trust it all is well since the hurricane.
Yes, good morning. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I just called about the housing stuff that we're talking about here now. Okay, first of all, we need some kind of authority here that goes around and checks these things. That's the first thing. To get anything properly, we need to have some kind of authority to do that first. Okay, and next thing, you have been to Vegas, right?
No, actually I haven't.
Okay, well, you heard about Reno, right? That's right. That's the outskirts of Vegas. Okay, that's where all the workers, or most 99% of the workers for Vegas live or reside. And as we all know, the world knows that Vegas is a mega beautiful place. It's like a little city in the desert. Yeah, but have you ever heard about Reno? Reno is a slum. And that's what it's like, container homes where they created for these workers to live there. Yeah, but the thing is now, they all have a choice. Like, just like us in Cayman, we have some below standard livings here, or dwellings that people rent out, like the person with chicken cubs and all that, right? But I'm sure that the people that come from these countries that they come here to work, nobody told them that they have to stay there. Yeah. So it's their choice also when they go there and they see these places, the deplorable conditions, the rats, the roaches, the flies, the mosquitoes, and they choose.
But you do understand, caller, that it's less of a choice when you don't really have a choice. Like it's easy for us to say that people have a choice when they're desperate.
Yes. Well, I believe there is a choice. No matter what you do, you have a choice.
Okay.
Sometimes I be broke and I go to the bank to get some money, and the teller open the thing and I see all that money. It's my choice to grab it, or it's my choice to leave it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's my choice. So yes, I understand what you're saying. People come from some places where deplorable, which is their economy is really low, or the space for a job is really high, and they can't get a proper placement, right? But they come here looking for a better way. But at the same time, everybody can't stay at the Ritz. That's why we have all these different hotels, you know. We have the Ritz, we have Sunshine Suites right across the way, basically, you know. And check out the price difference. And check out the ambience is way different. So we all have a choice when it comes to certain things of living. It's either we do or we don't. But I understand what you're saying. But and I do say I would never want to stay in none of them rat-infested places if I had a choice. You know, I'd rather pay the extra to go somewhere else. Or if I came to a country, or if I went to a country to work, and my job is only offering me to stay in one of these rat-infested places, it's my choice to stay or to go. And I think, me knowing myself, I would go. Yeah, I would try somewhere else, or try to do something else, whatever it is, to have a better way of life. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying, we all have choices.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, I understand the point. I think up to a certain point. Good morning, caller. And my apologies. Again, I don't know what's going on with the phone lines. We'll have to try to get that figured out. Morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Sandy. Listen,
yes.
I hate when people don't want to face reality.
Yeah.
Okay. The minimum wage at $7 per hour, how much does that equate to per month?
Of $6.50 an hour? Isn't it $6.50? $6? It's not even $6.50. $6 an hour. Was it a little bit over $1,000, $1,200 or something?
I say this to say that we need to face reality. That can't even pay rent.
Mm-hmm.
And if the business people, they are up in arms against what the government is proposing the minimum wage to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to face reality that we are gonna we continue gonna have workers who aren't earning enough.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Ryan a couple of years ago said that Cayman is importing poverty. A lot of people get up in arms and was upset with him, but it's the truth.
Yeah, we've been doing it for a very long time.
Yeah,
but listen to me, caller. Here's one of my problems with this, right? I think as a country, the biggest problem I have is we can't decide what we want. And that this is a problem. You know, when we're not talking about importing poverty, we're talking about we don't want no more rich people here. What is it that we want? You can't have your cake and eat it too. So you're importing poverty on the one hand. You have to deal with the trickle down effect of what happens there, or you import rich people or people of means who then you're going to complain about, well, they're taking away opportunities from Caymanians. They're taking away jobs. You know, they're coming here and pushing up the rental market because they can come here and get a mortgage overnight and do this and do that. And we don't want them either. And some of them are Karens and Kevins and Snotty and this. We need to find, because in all things in life, it's about balance. So admittedly, we need people of qualified people of financial means, but we also need those workers that we're saying that we're importing poverty, because Caymanians who have shops and domestic workers, they're not going to be paying no $8.50 an hour. Hear me clearly now. Even the proposed minimum wage, a lot of them are crying foul, saying, I'm not going to pay that to a domestic worker.
True.
So we're going to continue to have the problem in import poverty. It is really a question of balance.
Okay. I'm going to touch something that affects every one of us, and that's insurance.
Yes.
And my understanding, I may be wrong, my understanding of insurance is that the majority covers the risk for the minority. Is that so?
The majority cover the risk for the minority. Well, I think it certainly depends, because the more accidents you have, the more claims you have, the more everybody's policy is impacted. So take, for example, in car accidents, we have an exorbitant amount of car accidents in our roadway because people simply are not paying attention. That's the biggest problem. They have bad driving habits and they're not paying attention. So that being the case, that increases even my policy. And I have not had an accident that I have been at fault for since I moved back to Cayman over 20, probably closer to 30 years now. I have not had an at-fault accident, but I've been involved in accidents where other people were at fault. And in fact, in the past month, I need to go look up this guy because, I need to chase up another vehicle. 2 of our household vehicles have been run into in 5 o'clock traffic by people not paying attention. Ain't got nothing to do with me and my driving and other people driving, the people behind them not paying attention, and 5 o'clock bumper to bumper traffic and just rear end people. Okay. And I mean, you got insurance because accidents do happen.
But my take is definitely on real estate. Now, all these properties that are going up on the coastline, we know that they are gonna be damaged, and each time they are damaged and claim is paid out, we the majority that has our properties inland who haven't gotten any damage make no claim. Our insurance keep on going up because of them. And when, as you say, when the planning authority or whoever is in charge give these people permission to build on the sea coast, very well knowing that they are going to be damaged, it's unfair to us. It's unfair to us because we're talking about rent. Listen, the more insurance goes up, rent goes up. So insurance is a big factor, and insurance companies.
I mean, a lot of these slumlords don't have insurance. Let's also be very clear. A lot of these slumlords don't have no insurance, honey child. Let's speak the truth now. Not the slumlords. That's not who. You might be talking about a different sector of the rental property, but those slumlords not got no insurance. All right, leave me there. We got tons of people messaging saying that they're trying to call in.
Okay.
All right, appreciate it. 9362626. My apologies. Somebody else said, I'm trying to call. Here we go. Good morning, caller. Looks like I can't take more than two calls at a time, so we'll work it. Good morning, caller. Try to make your comments a little bit brief as well.
Okay. No, I just wanted to explain to that gentleman who was talking about insurance, right?
Yes.
What he and others need to understand with insurance is that when insurance collects that money and they invest it, they have to buy insurance for their insurance. So think of it like this. You have all this money that you collect, you put it in a big pot, right? You take some of that money out to put in somebody else's pot so that if people come from this pot, I can claim from that pot so that I can pay out all these other people, right? So like you could have Cayman. So for example, let's say you have Cayman where no accident, no hurricane, no claims whatsoever. A hurricane hits in Florida, destroys a whole bunch of people claiming insurance in Florida. Because now those insurance companies now have to pay those people, they now have to reach from a pot elsewhere, right? So we here have to then pay that. Our premiums will go up even though there's no claims here. That's how insurance works, right? And all the insurance companies put the money in a big pot. You have pots all around the world, and everybody is putting a portion into everybody else's pot. So if one pot gets damaged or one pot gets depleted, all the pots have to go up.
Yep. Thank you so much. Somebody said it's called reinsurance. And this is one of the things, I have a little bit of knowledge about reinsurance myself. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people they don't understand the concept of reinsurance. So let me try to get, we're going to have more experts coming on the show, more industry experts, because I think it's important. Yes, we have these discussions, but having them with just their opinion may not be sufficient enough. We need to understand how things work. How do mortgages work? How does banking work? How does small loans work? How does reinsurance work? So we're going to have more experts on the program. Phone lines are open. All right, folks. So despite the National Roads Authority asking people to please not. So I'm gonna fast forward through part of this video because I want to show you guys this issue with the parking on the side of the roadway. Some of the vehicles that had zero, and let me be very clear. This video is here now, right? If the RCIPS was motivated, if NRA was motivated, they would get together and they would contact all of these people because their license plate. I'm going to mute it so that we can take calls, but you guys can see all of their license plates are known. So Nick, if you own a, what kind of vehicle that is? Let me back up. I didn't see the model of that. So we have some kind of Nissan vehicle there. Nick has a Chevy truck with his name Nick on it. You guys can actually contact these vehicle owners and say to them, excuse me, you were parked on the roadway during a pending storm. There's a nice Audi. You can't do this. All of the license plates are visible. Contact every single vehicle owner and speak to them about why they're parked on the roadway. It's not permitted, and make sure that they don't do it again. This is what you call being proactive. Now, I don't know how proactive the RCIPS and the NRA will be, but yes, I agree with John LaRue. Find them. Now, hold on a second. Look at this next one coming up here now. Mr. Dean, 1 second. Bear with me. This is a public transportation bus. Now, I'm sure the Minister of Tourism is still listening to the show. And does transport still fall under him? Or do they move transport to J.E. Banks? Oh, God, I can't keep up with this government doing. Public transport. It may not fall under him anymore. It might be Jay. But look at this. Let me show y'all a public transport bus that removed their license plates to be able to park on the side of the roadway. Watch this. Now, even the public bus. Look at this. Look at this. No public bus vehicle is here. Hopefully public transport can contact them. They've asked for you not to park your vehicles here because in the event that emergency services have to come through, they're not able to do so. Where's the license plate on this van, by the way? Public bus has no license plate? How can you drive a vehicle on a public roadway and park it on a public roadway and no license plate? This is pure slackness. It says West Bay bus number 3, so they should be able to find out who owns it. The National Roads Authority asking people, do not park here. So if these vehicles belong to any of you, they're asking for you to move the vehicles because it's going to create a problem for emergency services. Check out this Toyota vehicle, right? It's some sort of Toyota SUV. Not only does it have no license plate, it has no registration. Trying to get in and out. Okay. I mean, it's amazing. Okay. Where's the license plates on these vehicles, by the way? How is this vehicle on the road with no front license plate and no back license plate? I mean, you're going to leave your vehicle on a public road. No stickers. Where's the registration stickers on this car? So this looks like this is probably either a vehicle that's not street legal. I don't see any current registration on it. I mean, look at the nerve of some people living here, right? That you would park this completely not street legal vehicle on the side of a roadway. You would actually drive it on a roadway, no registration, which probably means it also has no insurance. So on their way to park it, they're trying to avoid flooding. Imagine if they had run into somebody and kill or hurt somebody. So this vehicle, DEA should have slapped a sticker on and impounded immediately. NRA, we're talking about road safety. It's people like this who don't even care to follow the most basic rules of the roadway. No registration, no license plate. These are the people who put people's lives in danger because I am willing to bet that farm that they don't have any insurance either, because in order to get insurance, you need to have a registered vehicle. They are the ones who pose a significant damage to road users. Caller. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, I think we have two of you on at the same time. Mr. Dean was first. Mr. Dean, make your comments briefly because we only have 15 minutes left in the show. Remember, now we're only going to 9:30.
Good morning. I'm glad that everything's off at your side.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Insurance is one of the greatest scams ever invented by man. Cayman is a sweatshop. Okay? That is where it is. At first, when insurance first came out, poor people didn't pay insurance. It was only the rich. Poor people didn't start to pay insurance until during the Industrial Revolution. So that's when poor people started to pay to help fund the things that the rich people. What should be done in these places that are being rented? Suppose the property owner does secure the property and the place get flooded out. Okay, that not the property owner's fault that the place get flooded out. It could be in a low-lying area or something. So either they would have to put in their contract, well, you would have to leave and go to a shelter, or you risk after I secure this place, you're at risk of being here on your own. That is why the government needs to collect extra supplementary fund for all these people that are on work permits here. Suppose this hurricane had hit, right? And just say it was a disaster on our hand. Even say half as bad as what Ivan was, that the place was locked down for say two weeks or whatever, right? Okay, it will have been government's responsibility then to take care of these people, right? With supplies, they would have had to give them water, they would have had to give them food, they would have had to give them other stuff. That would have fall back on government, right? So that's why government should, in the future, look into this, collecting extra money from the employers or the workers themselves, the employees themselves, and just put it like a deposit in case anything happened during hurricane season that they could that they could support themselves for a couple of weeks. Because bear in mind now, they can't work or anything. They're not gonna be no income for them to come in to feed themselves. So that's what happened during I-1. Remember, the government was responsible for these whole pile of expats on the island that couldn't work and couldn't do nothing. And then the time and what came, they were the first ones to get it. You see what I'm saying? So all of this came under a sweatshop, and it needs to change the policy, and the politicians better wake up and learn from the situation. Common sense approach is what gonna keep us alive. Okay, that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, another call in the line. Good morning, caller.
Morning.
Morning there.
Both of them. Hi, sweetie. Glad that everybody made it through.
Yes.
Did a lot of praying. Was up at 5 o'clock in the mornings. A bunch of us praying, and God is really God, and He's been good to us. You know, I was gonna actually speak on the same thing. Both the last callers. My insurance went up to $34,000. Okay, that's like $12,000 more than I used to pay. Now, I haven't. Some of my tenants has been there 8 years, 9 years, and I haven't raised the rent. They might be listening. They'll know. Now I am getting ready, and I don't know how to raise the rent. Some of these people are still living in a place for $1,200, $1,300 that people are renting for $1,800 now, right? So sometimes if you got a property and it's kept and insured, it's hard. People is cussing the landlord, but again, when you got to pay $34,000 for the year, you know, that's a lot of money.
Yes.
And if you're charging $1,200, then it would be that you're just there giving the place away. So again, it comes.
And this is one of the reasons, caller, why some people have gotten into the short-term rental market, because they can make more money on short-term, and in some respects, it is more profitable and less headache.
Well, I'm starting to think that I want to do some of those because I don't want to put my tenants out because they've been good to me. You know, and you don't just kick somebody in the butt when the dollar looks good.
At the end of the day, being a landlord is a business. Yes,
it is. It is.
And there are times that you might have to, you as a property owner and as a landlord may also have to make the determination, as you say, with the rising costs. The most direct cost is if you have a mortgage or if you have insurance. So you may have to decide from your perspective, this is no longer a profitable business for me. I need to do something else.
Right. And then I had a tenant. If you see the way they teared up the place, okay, they were there only for a year. I ended up giving them notice because I realized it was more than them that they say was living. And when I have a 2-bedroom, I let them know a 2-bedroom is for 4 people.
Yes.
You know, and if it go over, somebody visiting is fine, but not to live permanently.
Yeah.
This person called me back for the deposit. If I showed you the place and stuff, and this is the next thing, they scrape up the deposit. It go both ways for landlord that don't give back. But then some of them scrapes up the money, get it together, and calls back and say, I'm leaving today. Can I have my deposit? No, you can't. I need to go through. My bed is broken. My mattress is torn. My chair is broken. And the walls just filthy. I have to paint it back out. I have to get it aired. I have to get a professional cleaning. And then they want it back. So yes, a board is good because it's supposed to go both ways for the landlord and for those that are renting. You can't get back your money. That's not why I get your money, just to give it back to you. I got it as a deposit. And then when I get it as a deposit, I had a set that never paid water for nearly the year. How they didn't, the tenant previously before them had put their account at Water Authority. So Water Authority kept taking money from this person. So they had actually transferred, which it was my son, which he transferred his account to where he moved to his new place. So one day they disconnected him. So when they disconnected him, he called and said, why? I pay excess, like he had them taking like $80, but his bill is $30. So he always had credit. So the first month they moved, and I made sure that they signed up everything was signed up. And the first month they called me, not knowing now, and I saw it was $10. And I said, but this is incorrect. It can't be $10, and it's for you guys. Anyway, I called Water Authority and tried to get it sorted, and I tell them, something is wrong. But I, at this time, did know that they were still collecting my son's money.
All right.
So
I need just to wrap it up. We just got a couple minutes left in the show.
Yes. And a long story short, Water Authority ended up putting it on my bill, even though that they got the contract, everything, and these renters lived all of that time till they didn't have water. And then they just paid a small minimum that Water Authority told them that was what it is. So it needs to go both ways for us, both the renter and the landlord.
Thank you
but
so much,
again,
Paula.
the major thing is the insurance is getting crazier and crazier. So it's hard for the rent not to increase.
Yep.
Have
Thank
a
you.
good day, bless
All
all.
right, my
Okay,
dear.
hon.
And mortgage for people who have mortgages. I mean, obviously, their interest rates have been going up. What, 6 times
I'm
last
glad
year?
you said that. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. My payment went from 3,000 to 5,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Next caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, honey child. How are you?
Good morning. We just got a couple minutes left in the show. Remember, we're ending at 9:30.
Okay, let me say now, praise the Lord, glory to God, hallelujah. We were saved from the storm.
Yes, honey
Number
child.
one. Number two, the rental board is really needed. I was hearing some conversation about beautification, taking it on, which I really hope that they would do, because some people are paying for a rat hole, and AU is not going out there to see what they're paying thousands of dollars for, which should be stopped, because if I renting from you, I paying you, I should see what I'm paying for. Number one, at least send somebody out to look at what they're paying for before renting from people, because it's a crying shame to see how people out here are renting in these rat holes. Number two, my next topic is people running for politics. You have people popping into communities upon election and expect to get voted in. People in the community, it don't work that way. People have this mentality that, you just popping up here election. Where have you been for the past 4 years? What have you contributed to this community?
Yes.
And even
the voters have to smarten up a little bit and stop falling for the tricks.
Yes, exactly. Even some of them, even if they've done very well in the election, but still wasn't successful,
they disappear.
They disappear.
Yeah.
Give me a kaboom. Give me
all right. What a mess, my dear. What a mess.
Only one that I have been acquainted with, that I have seen and know for a fact that continued in the community is Alric Lindsay. Even though Alric didn't get in, Alric has not left Windsor Park. He still contributes to Windsor Park. That's how a politician should be. Someone who's running for politics should be, not just for power and funds, because then that's all it levels down to. You have yourself a blessing.
Thank you so much, caller. Appreciate it. Wrapping up here. Remember, now we've adjusted our show time to 2-hour show instead of 3 hours, so that I can get more done the rest of the day. But somebody just sent me this. I hadn't seen this. Big shout out to Everything 345. I don't often get to really watch and pay attention to their stuff, but somebody said, Sandy, watch this. So let's play this video. Hold on now, honey child. In the public bus. Look at this. A public bus vehicle is here.
A few moments later.
Speed off, Jesus. White tees, I'm a beam. Gas, I'm a shop like guillotine. Cause I'm a blazer. The life we will live for the fast cash.
Oh my God, I did not see that. Thank you, Everything 345. They were caught moving the vehicle. But still, no license plates. You can pull off. Where's public transport this morning? Now, you bus drivers, I will ride for y'all when y'all in the right. But honey child, when you're in the wrong, you're in the wrong. You went and moved it. Thank you. After you were called out in Samar, we appreciate it. But look at what you did. You're still driving in a public roadway with no license plate. Wow. I tell you. Let me show you another segment of this video that is quite interesting. So when I got there, there was a woman actually she was parking her car, putting on the plastic tarpaulin or whatever you call it, tying it with string to her car. And I was like, Miss, do you know you're not supposed to be parking here? Look at her response. Pay attention. Pay attention to her response. I mean, they got some audacity. Park on the roadside, then you can cover up your car as though it's parked in your own personal garage. No, sir. Here she is. Did you know that the NRA is asking people not to park here? Yeah. They've actually, I know, but they're going to actually ask the police to come and have people move. So her attitude was like, so they've asked people not to park here. And they've actually asked us to assist with getting the word out there. So I would suggest maybe moving it somewhere else. See her attitude? Thumbs up, like, yeah, whatever. She's still parked there. Okay. Clearly that's not going to happen. NRA, you're going to have to get the police out here. Why aren't the police here now preventing more people from parking? That would make logical sense. Okay. All right. As they say, common sense kind of lacking. RCIPS, you guys know where the areas are that people tend to park? Her attitude was like, yeah, whatever. She's like, everybody else is doing it. So you stop the first person from doing it and nobody else is going to follow suit because apparently, like, you know, my aunt used to say, follow fashion. She said, you don't come to me with no follow fashion story. I don't care what other people are doing. You know what's right from wrong and you act accordingly. Good morning, caller.
Sandy, this thing is simple, you know? It is simple.
I mean, it looks simple.
The traffic department just go along and just ticket all of them. It's simple.
Yeah. And somebody says here, under section 118 of the traffic law, it gives the police the power to deal with it. So I am going to take a proactive step this morning, email the police commissioner and ask, why did they not ticket these people?
Just go ahead and ticket them.
Yep. I agree. And make it a hefty fine too, because the ticket should double during hurricane season, if you ask me, when you're doing foolishness like this. A few people actually said to me, what these people don't realize is because they are parked illegally on the roadside, what is going to happen to their vehicles if it gets damaged? Speaking of insurance companies, their insurance company now has a reason to deny your claim. So heaven forbid a light pole falls on top of your car or a tree falls on top of your car. The insurance company is going to go, oh, but you were parked illegally alongside the roadway. We're not going to cover that. So you're trying to avoid flooding on the one hand, only to put yourself in more of a situation when it comes to potentially vehicle to your own car. It's because people not thinking. They're not thinking logically, not at all. So RCIPS, we will be messaging them. I will personally email them right after the show and ask, why didn't y'all ticket them? Y'all have a job to do as well. And anytime you break road rules during pending storm or hurricane season, the fine should be doubled or tripled. It's just like when you speed during school zones, when school's actually in session, the law allows you, well, I know in other jurisdictions, I don't know what Cayman doing, the law allows you to add additional fines because of the time at which the offense is happening. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy.
Morning, honey child.
You can say all I do is complain, but I want to ask a question.
Sure.
My front yard is flood. Can't they come and pump the water out of there? Because that's getting on my nerves.
Didn't they come 2 days ago?
They pump the drains, but what happened is, I tell you, because NRA, they came and pumped the drain. But what I'm telling you, the NRA is full of prunes too, because I tell them that they couldn't put that cover back on the drain, because the reason why the other people took it off for me years ago, because when the water come, when I have rain, when we have, let me explain it clearly. When we have plenty of rain out here, the front yard floods. So that's the reason they put the drain there, that when the front yard floods, I would open the drain and the water would go down in it. But then sometimes the tide comes up high, and if the drain is not covered, then the water tide will come in. You understand? So they took the grid that be on top of it off and gave me a cap that when the tide come high, And there's no rain. I could cap the drain and then my yard stay dry. But when they come now, this stupid man, he come up and there is no way that nobody should go down in there because the piece of property in front of me is for my sister-in-law and the drain is between me and her. There's no... When we first
okay, let me pause you right there, honey child. I don't even need to hear all the details. I will just have them. I'm going to send them your number and I'm going to ask them to please contact you because you're still having flooding in that area and somebody must get you sorted out. Okay?
Yeah, because if they can pump that water, now we don't have no rain. I can plug the drain. You understand?
All right, you explain it to them because they're the ones who need to know what you need. No problem.
All right.
Okay, my dear. All right, so I'll message them again for you.
My mango tree blow down. I have nobody to help me, and I can save it if I can get it up.
Okay,
but I
honey.
can't do it. My two arms hurting me, so.
All right, let me see if I can find somebody to help you with that too.
All right, thanks.
Okay, there. All right,
okay, bye.
We're gonna be ending the show 9:30. Big shout out to radio listeners. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today, I don't think I'm actually going to court because I don't think anything important is happening because jurors were dismissed, I believe, until Monday. But I do have some other paperwork that I need to get done around here. Plus, I need to clear out my closet. Time for donation time. Now, don't message me about no donations. Apparently, my mother-in-law already has dibs on those, honey child. She messaged me the other day. She says, oh, the last time Marlon came home, he went home on a trip recently to renew his U.S. visa. And she's like, oh, you gave him some donated stuff. And the people appreciated it so much. And I think I must have included some bras in there because Shaquem said that the bras were great and this and that. And so I said, she's coming in October when we take our annual vacation. So I said, well, I'll start packing stuff from now for you, but you better come with a couple empty suitcases because I'm going to do a big cleaning out. So get your suitcases ready. So I'm going to pack up some stuff for her. And that's on my to-do list to at least start. I mightn't finish, but I want to start because I've got clothes that need to go into the closet. And there is a certain philosophy that closet can only hold so much stuff. So after a while, when you're putting something in, you got to be taking something out. So we're going to make some room in that closet, honey chill. All right, listen, great discussion as always today. It's so funny the bus driver moved, but public transport needs to get on them because you should have been parked there in the first place. And more importantly, why on earth are you driving around without a license plate? That's my concern. I didn't look closely at the sticker to see if it's a registered vehicle, but why are you driving around without a license plate? Everything 345, big shout out that you guys caught him leaving and posted that. That's so hilarious. I'll have to go and have a look at that post. All right. So the other thing is, this person says repeating himself. The word masses is one letter short of, make sure I'm not on the radio. Hold on. One letter short of asses. Masses, one letter short of asses, says this person. That is hilarious. Bobby, is it Bobby or Bobby? Bobby Bodden or Bobby Bodden? Good morning, K-Man. Thank God. I thank God he protected you from showing mercy throughout the island. Saludo desde Honduras. 100%. Yes. Don't send no sexy lingerie. There's certain things that you do not give away, Leroy, to other people to wear. And that would include underwear. Now, I know some people are probably desperate. They're like, I'll take it, Sandy. Ooh, no, honey child. Anyway, we had some video footage that we were going to play today. Kids playing out in the storm. I'll play the footage, and all I can tell you is, people, don't be stupid. This is where you are taking your own life and putting it on the line. The authorities said yesterday that despite the all clear being given, the beaches were not open. The roadway was not open. And you were encouraged, not encouraged, you were told not to go out in the water. So what y'all were doing out there in this yesterday, only God knows. This was a very, very dangerous situation. There was another footage of them with the waves and stuff coming in. You should not have been out there in this. It's ridiculous. You're taking a chance with your own life. Now, the other one was the roofer. Listen, I hear y'all saying stuff to me, and I kind of understand your logic, but it is flawed logic. And there's such a thing as flawed logic. This poor guy here, on his rooftop, trying to secure his roof during the storm. Oh, but now he's worked hard for that roof. Okay, well, guess what? When he dropped down dead, gets electrocuted, breaks the neck, or whatever, and dies, you think it can make one bit of difference? He gets hit by lightning. There's so many things that legitimately could go wrong in a situation like this. Get blown off the roof and fall and crack your neck and get paralyzed. And then somebody has to take care of him because the poor fella not gonna have no money as a paraplegic. People, let me tell you something. You may be poor, but you do not have to be poor and stupid at the exact same time. There's certain things that are not worth the risk. Your life and your health are the two most valuable and important things that you have. You can replace a roof. You can't replace your life. You're not a cat. You don't get 9 lives. Once you're dead, you're dead. Nobody's going to resurrect you and bring you back from beyond. It's not worth it. Now, did he not realize from the other day when we had all this rain that he had, some issues? Like, really? What the hell? This is not the time to do it. When we talk about storm prep, this goes back to my point. You have got to be sufficiently prepared. Let me tell y'all something. The list, the caller called earlier talking about your hurricane list. Y'all need to add things to your hurricane list, not just toilet paper. Flashlight, first aid kit. How many of you have it? You say you're adequately prepared. Did you have a first aid kit in your house? Extra batteries. The day before, y'all like, oh, Sandy, can I get a radio? I'm like, I've been giving away these radio for years. I'm sure y'all have heard me giving them away before. Now that they're down to 2 little radios left, everybody wants a radio. Don't wait till the 11th hour before the storm to start to do these things. You need food, at least a several days supply of non-perishable food. Water, 1 gallon per person per day for several days, both for drinking and sanitation. Like I said, sanitation includes washing your hands and flushing the toilet. A whistle. I don't even have a whistle, and I hadn't thought about this, for signaling for help. I'm going to go on Amazon today and order a few more things to add to my hurricane kit. A dust mask. Well, I've got COVID mask still, so they'll have to do. Scissors, duct tape, plastic sheeting, toilets, garbage bags, plastic ties. A manual can opener. How many of you in your homes, you only have the electric can opener? How are you going to open that can of food if you don't have a manual can opener? Cell phones with all of your chargers and backup batteries. I took out all my packs, child, and I started to charge them up. Laptops charged, cell phone backup things all charged up. Hand sanitizers are going to come in handy now as well. Disinfectant wipes. Your prescription medication. One guy went to shelter and didn't bring his prescription medication. You got to have your shelter. Listen, you have a hurricane kit. I got mine now, $12.99. I bought the little container from Cost You Less. That's a pretty good price. They had them in Sam's Club for $7.99, but I know the cost of getting stuff here. So $12.99, still a good price, right? You put all your stuff in there. Then you have a separate, if you're one of those people that know the chances are you're going to have to go to a shelter, you have a separate list for what you need to take to the shelter. People showing up at the shelter with no personal effects. The shelter's like, we don't supply those things. If you leave your blood pressure medication at home, the shelter can't help you. And the thing about blood pressure medication is you have to take it consistently within a 24-hour period of time. And if your pressure goes up because you stressed out about the storm and you're not taking your medication, next thing you know, you're susceptible to having a heart attack or a stroke. Take it seriously, folks. Right? Your hurricane kit should also include pain relievers, anti-diarrhea medication, antacids or laxatives, because yes, you know, you might be getting the best food or food that you normally eat. It might upset your stomach. Stress sets off my stomach. So I got my little Pepto-Bismol tablets, honey child. I don't like the liquid, but I got the tablets ready to go. If you have babies and small children, you make sure you got your supplies for them. Pet food and extra water for your pet. Because, you know, the pet got to drink water too. Remember your poor dogs and cats? They'll need food and water as well. Some cash. All of a sudden we were notified, oh, well, these ATM machines aren't working. Keep some money. You know what? Take $150, put it in a Ziploc bag, zip it up, put it in that same little container bin that I'm telling you about for your hurricane supplies. Forget it. Leave it and forget it. The problem is, and even I realize, if you keep your supplies with other stuff, you start to eat into it. Next thing you know, it all disappears. You're like, oh man, I don't even remember having that. So if you keep it completely separate and you push it into one little corner of the house, store it in a closet in the back of the closet, underneath the bed, somewhere that you're going to forget it, then you're not going to be constantly dipping into it. And that includes your little cash supplies as well. And people are like, oh yeah, you know, I normally have money for groceries, but right now I had no money. You know what? Next payday, take out $25. Next payday after that, take out another $25. During hurricane season, you have 6 months of the year that you could save up a little $25, $50 each month and put that into your hurricane supply storage area and forget about it. Don't use it to buy nothing else. Talking about y'all spending $1,000 on these outfits. When I heard that the other day, I almost dropped through the roof. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. An outfit that's not even covering you. What? How on earth? What? No, sir. Y'all next level, man. I ain't got no money. Broke as broke can be. But you can find $1,000 to skin out in the streets. Honey, y'all need to do better. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy.
She's peace. You can imagine paying $1,000 for an outfit for Carnival?
What? And then I bet you that comes from NAU. What is wrong with these people? They don't have any priorities at all, Sandy. I mean, they always cry in poverty, but yet they are now buying costumes to go to wiggle their butts. Because I saw that picture where they were fighting. I thought that the authorities had told them to calm it down, but what they're doing to myself go without any underwear on, any drawers on, from what I've seen there.
Yeah, boy, I can't believe it cost $1,000. I was like, huh? You can go naked for far cheaper than that. Naked should be free.
Anyway, Sandy, I just passed the Ritz-Carlton bridge, and I've just passed the bridge before the yacht club. There's about 6 cars, I think it is, down by the Ritz-Carlton, and there's 3 down here that is still parked. Why do the police come down here and just put tickets on them and put a fine? They might not be able to.
You know, and you know what I think part of the problem with those vehicles is that somebody reminded me of this when they said, Sandy, a lot of those vehicles have now, those people they went off island. So they went and parked there and headed to the airport. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Ticket them for sure.
Put a ticket on them. No, what the legislators can do, and don't tell me they can't do it today, once they gather at the House of Parliament, if you want to call it that way, is to pass a law where they cannot, I remember when Hurricane Ivan was hitting here, people were just leaving their keys in the cars. People would go and pick up these cars because these people never returned. And then guess what happened? There were all of these cars were exploding in their front yard because the water had saturated the computers and stuff. What they need to do is any vehicles that was flooded out, because these insurance adjusters, they will do anything to make a dollar. And I know for a fact, one guy that was staying with my apartment down in Dalton apartment, he went from a mechanic to an insurance adjuster, and his girlfriend wanted this nice car, and he got it for little or nothing, and it wasn't anything wrong with the car. You know, so but coming back to these cars, they don't realize the obstruction. If the wind had blew those cars in the road, it would going to cause an obstruction to emergency vehicles. Yep. What they need to do is the police need to get off their butts. I know a lot of times police are being criticized for not doing the job, but now
this one we have a traffic department, right? And this was an easy fix for the traffic department. It really is.
Put tickets on them, and when they don't show up for court, go and arrest them.
Yeah.
Have a bench warrant for them, because there's no excuse. People want to do what? Oh, this is my island, and I can do what I want. No, you can't. The law says you could not park there. Then that's it.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate it. Have a good one, Mr. Dexter.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, darling.
Okay, bye.
All right, folks. So yeah, somebody say, I think it was Marshall saying spending $1,000 for dental floss. You can keep that money, honey child. So Mr. Russell says, yeah, but what about people that don't have the extra to keep the stuff in storage? I'm not telling you to keep in storage. What I'm saying is you get a little bin for $12.99. Most people can afford those little $12.99 containers, and you stock up the 6 months that isn't hurricane season. And then that can last for years, because most of those things, if they're proper hurricane supplies, they're non-perishable, which means that they will last forever, honey child. They're not going nowhere anytime soon. This requires planning ahead. Miss June says, my emergency box was already packed and I just grabbed it to go to the shelter. It will just be topped up with some food I used and some toilet paper, as the shelter had run out. Because the shelter is telling you, bring your own toilet paper, bring your own water, bring your stuff. The shelter is not there to supply you with those things. They're just trying to supply you with a safe overhead and a little cot to lie down on. Everything else in terms of personal effects you need to bring for yourself. People are showing up at shelters looking for a full stove to be able to cook a full meal. Oh, well, I got my curry chicken that I need to put in the oven, and I needed a shelter's like, huh? Sir, bring perishable goods. A can that you can open up and sit there and eat the beans. This is roughing it like camping inside. And not Cayman style camping where you've taken the whole kitchen with you, to be clear. Come on now. Get it together, folks. If you need some help on how to pack a proper hurricane kit, call me. I'll go shopping with you and we can pick out the items that you're going to need and to throw in that hurricane kit. Sure. Y'all need some hand holding around here. John says, rule of thumb, just like bikinis, is the lesser the fabric, the more it costs. I saw some photos of the young ladies almost showing their crotches. Awful, and the mothers love it. Lord Jesus, unbelievable. Dale, good morning, says the issue of property owner responsibilities preventing harm to neighboring properties is a matter of concern. Oh, this is a good point. My neighbor's negligence in maintaining their property has led to trees falling into my yard and causing damage. Despite my efforts to address it with them, they have not taken any action and are now attributing the damage to an act of nature. Oh my God. Consequently, leaving me with the responsibility of repairing my property. Can you or a legal-minded listener advise on property owner responsibilities? Listen, I'm glad you brought this up, Dale, because we had a similar situation where an elderly lady called her and her mom, and the person next door, their tree was the one that was hanging over that she was trying to get somebody to come and cut from her property because it's hanging over her roof, causing a problem. So we talked about it a couple of days ago, Dale. You can contact the Department of Environmental Health. Anybody who has trees that are encroaching on your property and hanging over, you can actually call them and they can reach out to the property owner and tell them to shape up the property, cut your trees, and get it together. Now, if they refuse to do so, anything that hangs over on your side, you have a right to chop down and to cut. The base of the tree might be on their property, but if the limbs are in your property, you're entitled to anything on the limbs. I had this issue recently with a neighbor, and I told him, please come and cut your tree because your mangoes are falling over, and not being rude or anything. Your mangoes are falling over in my property. A little bit too close to the pickleball court that was just done. And if you mess up my pickleball court, you're going to have to repave it. You and your mangoes better find the money to repave it. So I'm going to give you some advice. I see your mangoes dropping. Before I might have ignored it, I'm no longer going to ignore it because now it's going to cause damage. So when you have a word, the first thing to do, Dale, is you have a word with them. She was nice enough. Yes, I'm going to have the guys come and trim it. Not a problem. Yada, yada, yada. When you have ignorant neighbors who don't want to listen, you have a right to cut it yourself. And in fact, I hope they know that when you pay to cut it, you can turn around and give them the bill. And if they don't pay the bill, there's such a thing called small claims court. Y'all start setting examples for these people and they're going to start to shape up. Cut your trees, trim your trees. Make sure that they're not encroaching on your neighbor and creating a hazard, as Dale rightfully said, to other people. I've just gotten word from the police says we're dealing with them, with those vehicles. Good. I told you I was going to message them. You need to ticket them. And I can tell them they need to prevent them from doing it to begin with. All right, Mr. Dale. You tell that neighbor that Sandy said you have a right to cut his trees that are encroaching on your property. Do it before a hurricane is coming. So if he has any more, cut it. And you know what? I'm going to tell y'all something. You people that have a habit of not wanting to take care of your yard and all this kind of stuff, you better be glad that I'm not your neighbor because I got to find somebody to go in your yard and cut the whole damn tree down. Then what are you going to do? All right. I'm just saying. The least they can do, if they can prove it, Dale, is charge you with property damage. And if they can't prove who cut it down, because they're probably being a nuisance to more than one neighbor, then c'est la vie. Try to do things the right way. I always encourage that. And you have a right to cut off limbs. And you know what? I'm gonna not just cut off that limb. I'm gonna go over the fence a little bit and make sure some other limbs get cut too while I'm at it. Just be a good neighbor. I can't be that hard. Lavana, good morning. Hope you're feeling okay, my dear. Recovery mode. All right, that's all she wrote. Remember now, the new show time, 7:30 to 9:30. Still went into overtime today. Traffic law gives the RCIPS full powers to do what they got to do. Now they said, yes, Sandy, we're going to get on it. You should have gotten on it from the other day. But anywho, better late than ever, I suppose. All right, y'all have a beautiful day. We will catch you tomorrow. No, today's Friday. That's it. Weekend time. Woohoo! Party time. Don't get too excited because we actually have another storm coming right after this one. Lord have mercy. We told y'all. What was the CMR headline the other day? Let's go back in time just to refresh your memories because you got to pay attention now. This is the real deal. Okay, see ya. From March to 29th, we put up this story. Explosive 2020-14 hurricane season predicted. And trust me, folks, they seem to be on the money because another system right out there coming for us. I'm like, oh my God. You see that cone of red? See our little dotted islands right there? So Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, and them next people over there. There's Cayman. Boom and boom. We are well within the red. We are in for it. This was our practice run, Caymanians, and everybody else listening. This was your get ready. It's coming. We were very, very thankful that it didn't come our way. but it's coming. So don't let it catch you off guard. That is the key, folks. Thank you. Evelyn says, I have a neighbor like that. All her leaves are in my yard. I'm going to throw back everyone over her yard. I mean, listen, if you have to spend money cleaning up her leaves in your yard because she refuses to do so, you need to start sending her the bill. So yes, another system out there already. We're going to really pray that it doesn't come and turn into Cat 4 or anything like that. So Garrett says round 1 is over. Get ready for round 2. It's going to be a rough hurricane season, folks. Just be ready. All right. In case you guys missed the interview with some of the good folks over at next week, we'll talk about the Carnival Fight. Lord, I haven't even had time to get to that yet. But in case you missed the interviews that we did before the storm, asking a few people how they're feeling and how prepared they were, this is a new segment. We're going to kick off the pulse, really just taking a pulse of the community. If you see me out and about with my interview gear, just answer the question, just play along. And thanks to Foster's, Kirk's, Hurley's, all the grocery stores. Oh, big shout out to CUC, the utility companies. They were working until after 10 o'clock last night, restoring people. And then they were back out on the roads at 6 o'clock this morning. I know that their crews are working around the clock to try to make sure that all electricity was restored. Thankfully, only 9% of the people had an issue. And I saw Jonathan, I think it was, that said this earlier, where he was thanking, he said, absolutely. And for working to get the down connections up and running in a timely and efficient manner, enough respect to all on CUC's road crew. And from their management team, one of the things that they said, as they said, Sandra, our infrastructure upgrades that we made over the last several years made a big difference, as well as the preventative maintenance that the team did leading up to hurricane season. So, you know, they're out there tree trimming, they're out there cutting cutting limbs, spraying down the lines, doing all sorts of stuff that is part of their preventative care that really does make a difference. So thank you to all the utility companies. Water Authority took a minute, but they eventually came on, and there you have it. All right, folks, have a safe weekend. All right, so again, we're just around the island seeing what else is going on. I can tell you that every place pretty much is shutting down. It's roughly, what time is it? After 2, I think. So here we are at Foster's Airport. Staff leaving. I saw a lady just pulled in thinking that she could still get in the grocery store. And they said, not today, honey. Yeah, you're going to have to try again. So big shout out to all the hardworking employees at the grocery stores and essential workers now from all the utility companies, telecom companies who are going to be making sure that we're all safe. So people still driving up to the grocery store, I'm afraid to tell you, unless you go into that ATM machine, it is already too late. Oh, speaking of ATM machine, I need to get some money. So I guess I better do that now.
Yeah.
All right, we're here with Richard. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
All right, how you feeling about Hurricane Beryl? Kind of 50-50?
Yeah.
All right, you feel like you're ready?
We gotta be ready.
You gotta be
yeah.
Ready or not?
Ready or not, it's coming.
Yeah. So what did you do in preparation?
Well, the landlord covered the windows and doors.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Stock up on tin food, flashlights, stuff like that.
Yeah. Are you in a low-lying area? Any concerns about flooding?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm concerned about the breeze though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So some sandbags, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to you. Be safe.
All right.
During the storm. All right. Thanks.
All right. No problem.
All right. So we're here with Mr. Paul, assistant store manager at Foster's Airport location. You guys are locking down. Everybody's going to be able to go home.
Yes, ma'am.
And get prepared. I see people still trying to get into the store.
Well, it's so sad, but there are people that are actually probably late, like late shoppers.
Yeah.
But we try our best to really accommodate them if we could still have, like, we know it's going to be a tough time, but you know what? we will get through this hurricane. We will survive.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you guys have been pretty busy over the last couple of days, so you want your staff to be able to go home and get their preparations
Precisely,
in order.
ma'am. Precisely. So our main goal is to secure the place, secure whatever we have, and then our first priority, Foster's priority, is to make sure our colleagues go home as soon as possible so that they can secure their own houses and their families.
And I noticed that the carts, you guys are actually in the process now of securing them. So this is what you'll do. You'll just tie them together.
Yes, ma'am. We try to secure them so that we know when the wind blows in, it will be intact. Like that one's already done right there.
Right.
So we don't want anybody getting hit by a flying cart or any property being hit. So
for sure.
Yeah, as much as possible, we try to secure everything.
Okay. All right. Good. And I see, look like some staff. They did some shopping themselves.
We encourage them to last minute shoppers also. We encourage them. It's, what, as I said, like we take care of our people.
Yeah. So do you feel ready for this, Paul? How are you feeling?
I think what I heard, I'm new to the island. I've been here only last November, so this is actually my first hurricane.
This is your first hurricane. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, what I hear is that before, I guess we were the guys that were here before were caught off guard, but I think the preparation made by the government and by the company actually strengthens the resolve of really preparing everybody.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. Well, good luck to you.
Have a good one. Peace, guys. Take care.
All right. So ongoing preparations, folks around the island. You see. Here at the Foster's Airport location, that plaza looks like people are putting up some tarpaulin and stuff into the building. And of course, they've got a couple hours left to get everything sorted out because this is it now. We've got until 6 o'clock. After 6 o'clock, non-essential services can't be on the road. So try to get it done, folks, whatever it is that you're going to do. This is now the time to do it. Last few hours before Hurricane Beryl comes within about 69 miles as the last projection here for the Cayman Islands. So hoping that all of you are going to be safe and make your final preparations. Again, staff getting themselves sorted out as much as they possibly can. And last minute grocery shoppers, sorry. Grocery store is now officially closed. That's it. So we're told that this material here actually stiffens once it's up. They put on those hooks up there, and then it's gonna offer protection against anything flying up against the glass. So this is pretty cool. Instead of having like traditional plywood or even shutters, this is a material that is pretty resilient, is what one of the installers just informed me. So that's good to know. Yeah, there you go. All right, so we're here speaking to Beryl as well. Beryl, how are you feeling about the storm?
Well, honestly, I am. It's a sweet and sour moment for me.
Why is that?
It's my first justical stand here.
Okay.
But I do believe that we will pull through as an island and as people as well. So I do believe for this country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have any friends and family in Jamaica that are now feeling that storm? The same storm, really?
I haven't checked with them yet because I've been so busy here from morning just doing things. But they were preparing, and I think they're at the best now, and they're very safe.
All right, good. All right, well, good luck to you and stay safe.
Thank you, and the same to you guys too.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes.
All right, we're here speaking to Mr. Chris. Chris, how are you feeling about the storm?
I'm feeling quite okay.
Yeah? You feel like you're prepared?
Yeah, I prepare enough.
Okay.
I just...
That's your water there? So you have water? If
I have
else.
water. I have water and I have water at home and...
Yeah, man.
And a little solar light and so forth. So
okay.
Preparing as much as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
You been through a hurricane before?
Yeah. Okay. Back in Jamaica, I've been through Hurricane Ivan and D.
Oh wow! So you went through Ivan. Yeah, man. So you know the deal then.
Yeah, I witnessed some roofs lifting off and so forth. So.
Wow.
Yes, and animals being killed and. I see.
Wow. Hopefully this one won't be so bad.
I hope it don't cause any incident and any life.
Yeah. All right, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Chris. And again, please be safe.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
All right, so we're here with Bibi, and she is waiting on your ride to go home, Bibi?
That's true.
Yeah, so how are you feeling about Hurricane Beryl?
It's my first, to be exact. My first of such a big one, so I am pretty much scared.
You're feeling a little bit scared? Yeah, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you've never been through a hurricane before?
In 2021, I think it was Grace, was it?
Okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't like this.
Yeah. So, you see, United just landed. So everything is starting to shut down now. You're going to go home. You've got some groceries and just kind of ride it out.
Yes, just wait for the best.
Yeah.
Not the worst. We're just hoping for the best.
Yeah. All right, Bibi. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you too. Stay safe.
All right, so we're here at On the Run gas station. A couple more hours before shutdown after 3 o'clock now, and they're going until 5 o'clock. And then, folks, everybody's gonna have to be on the road, so everybody's getting their little last-minute top-up in terms of gas. Doing that safely. Not a mad rush. So, again, final preparations. Traffic is already backed up, however. I'm being advised of that situation. All right, so last-minute people grabbing some Popeyes chicken. The line is out in the street. People are like getting that fried chicken before they're taking advantage of the in-place order where it starts at 6 p.m. So trust me, y'all love some chicken, and why not? Popeye's drive-thru is open. The inside isn't open, so you've got to go through the drive-thru. All right, so again, people here at Popeyes in Red Bay getting their little pre-Hurricane Beryl fix. I think I need me one of them chicken sandwiches myself, honey chow. Looking good, looking good. All right, be safe.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.